I So happy to see so many people here. Good morning. I'm so happy and to be the person chosen to take all of you along through this special assembly. Today is the 50th birthday of the school. Like many of the young children came to me today and they congratulated me also and said, Akka, it's your 50th birthday also once again today. And I'm very happy to be here at this moment to do this, and I consider it an honor. So I'll just go back a little and tell you about why it's so special for me, the school is so special for me, and how it has a special space in my living. So I joined school in 1981, and soon after college, I was very interested in teaching, and I had heard about the school, and I had visited the school. The school was in Boys Garden, and I liked the way children were, and the teachers looked after the children. So I had decided to become a teacher long back. So when I approached the school said it would be good for me to get myself trained for this profession. So I went and did my BEd, and I came back to the school. And in 1981, the journey began with the school. I must remember, I recall two people who influenced me a lot in my decision to become a teacher and to continue to be a teacher till now. It's Ahalya Ji and Chinaka. Both of them were teachers of the school, and they invited me into the space of the field of education and what teaching was all about. Another person who schooled me into the day-to-day practices and the way of being in the school, especially the junior school where I was for many years and I continued working there, is Revati Akka. She actually told me and taught me. I was very young, I was just 21 years old, and she told me how to be with children. And I do think of them off and on, the very little things that I do, or when children say something, it reminds me of some things that these teachers have told me and how they mentored me, and my journey continues being mentored by them. I was also introduced to Krishnamurti after joining the school, and I must say that reading Krishnamurti has strengthened me as a person, not just as a teacher, but as a person, and the way I look at life, the way I conduct myself today, I owe it to the person. And I think these are people who made sure that I remain tethered here. Though I joined in 1981, I haven't worked all the years in the school till today. There was a gap of over 6-7 years when I had to leave the city, but I came back to the school and I continued teaching. And I still teach here. I'm attached to the kindergarten section and class 1. So with that, we'll start today's assembly with some singing.
Sajo Anupama Sa
Foundation. He has travelled all the way back to Chennai to be here on this day. Thank you for coming, sir. We have K, who we know as KK, but K. Krishnamurthy, who is at the Vasant Vihar. He has been working with books, editing, publishing, bringing out new editions of Krishnamurthy's works, and has been long at the Vasant Vihar doing this. And is a very important part of the legacy of Krishnamurthy's teachings being alive and being conversant today. Thank you, KK, for being here. We have other friends from Vasant Vihar who decided today they'll keep aside their work and come here and be with us for the first 2 hours of the morning, and then they'll go back to their work. So, the Vasant Vihar, which is the KFI headquarters at Greenways Road, all of you the elders might know, the children might not know what is Vasant Vihar. It's a place where a lot of work happens on the teachings of Krishnamurthy. All the books that we read, they look after it, and many people have meetings there and talk about the relevance of Krishnamurthy in today's life. We have also Mr. Vijay Santana, a very special person who has come here. He's been associated with the school from the very beginning, and he was a part of the advisory board in the early years, and he continues to be the backbone of the school, and he's in our executive committee, and he's a very important person who has always looked after, and we turn to him for any assistance we need in the function of the school. Thank you, sir, for that. We were expecting the architects of the school. I think they've been delayed, Anupama and Jayati. They are also very special people because they made this happen for us in a very short while. That is, all the buildings in Tarambur came up in a matter of 1 year, and Anupama and Jayati Panna, many of you would have seen them because they keep visiting the school as their parents of the school, and also because they come to see whether the structures, the buildings are doing well. And they advise us what to do in case we want some alterations. So we'll start the assembly with Jayashri Akka. All of you know Jayashri Akka, I'm sure? Yeah. Okay. So Jayashri Akka will read to you all about the beginnings of the school.
Particularly happy to see alumni here from 83, 86 onwards. We thought it would be difficult for them to take time off, and we expected the younger alumni to be present, but really very happy to have all of you. Some of you we haven't seen in a long, long time, which makes me feel maybe we should have assemblies like this every now and then. So I want to spend a little bit of time looking at the very beginnings of the school. Yeah? And first I'll take you through a few pictures, then I'll read out a few extracts. Okay? So the first picture, this is a picture of J. Krishnamurthy, perhaps quite different from the ones that we usually see, and we chose it because it's very different. The one picture we have in school is in the principal's room, in Vaishnavi Akka's room, and there is one, I think, in the art room made by one of the students or teachers. This is a rather unusual picture, and we thought we'd show that to you. Now, as you look at this picture, please recall the assembly I did, where I spoke to you about 3 weeks ago about the purpose of our schools and what Krishnamurthy felt these schools should really explore, and the questions he raised for the schools through letters or through his talks. Can we have the next picture? this is Padma Santanam. Now she is the person who started the school. She, along with a group of people who were a part of the foundation, approached Krishnamurti, having listened to him for many years, and said that they wished to start the school. I'll read out a little later, from how she remembers the time. And when they planned to start the school that they started, the campus was the Coast Garden campus. You've seen the picture on the notice board there, drawn by the first student from her memory, and her original piece is here. They were involved, I think Padma Santanam and a group of people were involved with talks with Krishnamurti from 70 onwards, and there are some of the talks that are available with us, not yet edited, but two of the conversations are there, where Krishnamurti would put very difficult questions to her and to the others, saying, will you find teachers who are very serious about education, serious about the teachings? Will you find the right kind of students? How will you form a committee? He would raise these very difficult questions. The land was on lease in Coast Garden, and then he would ask, where are you going to find the land for the school, and how would you find it? These were the questions, part of the early conversations. What food will you give children to eat? Where will you get the milk? And will you have a bakery that will bake the bread? So these were all the questions that she had to answer. And from students who have been there from the very early years to those who have been, some of the non-teaching staff and teachers whom I have met, they say that she was the last person every day to leave the school. As the night watchman came late evening, then the classes would be locked and then she would leave. Throughout her years, from Coast Garden to Damodar Gardens, and she would write us, she would visit school every day. It became less frequent, once a week, towards the later years, and where she would walk around school, look at what was not okay, praise what was all right. She worked with the principals of the school, with Chinnaka, with Ahalyaji, with Gautamanna. She worked with them. She sent us articles that she would read, which she felt that we had to read as well. So, Padma passed away in 2006. In many ways, at the beginning, I used to feel very happy that she did not live to hear that the school had to move out of Adyar campus. But now, on this campus, I have wished very many times that she was here, because she would have loved the trees, she would have loved the design of the buildings, and she would have felt very much at home with all of us. Today I feel sorry about that. But earlier I felt she was blessed not to have known the troubles of the relocation from Adyar to Karan. The next picture. Now this is Prema Srinivasan, who worked very closely with Padmaji, and it was the two of them who, along with others, approached Krishnamurti to start the school. She was part of all the conversations and very closely involved with the early years of the school in Coast Garden. And towards the end, she passed away last year, and in the few years that before she passed away, she kept in touch, asking me how the school was doing in the new campus and how we were all faring and getting along. She used to call almost once a month or so towards her last year. She wanted very much to visit the school, but her health wouldn't permit her to do it. The next two pictures show you Krishnamurti in school and two other important people. This is Krishnamurti when he came in to the Adyar campus. He would talk with the children, meet with the teachers, and greeting him you will find Chinnaka, who Pinaka mentioned, and who was an early headmistress of the school and nurtured the junior school to what it is today. And you find at a distance from where I am, Ahalya Chari. She was asked by Krishnamurti to take over the principalship of the school during two very crucial years. One, which is the beginning of the ICSE, and then the initiation of the ISC in school. She looked through, she watched over that. The next picture. This again is the same picture. You have Krishnamurti talking with Padmaji and Chinnaka and Ahalyaji looking on, and you have all the children of the school. Then one or two of you may recognize yourself or recognize someone, I'm not sure. So yeah, that's it for the pictures. So now, looking through, I'm taking longer than I should. Class 4, you all are okay, no? The brave class 4 students. Yeah. Now, looking through all the documents that we had in very old files from when we were moving out from Adyar to here, we came across some very interesting documents. One, and these will be of great interest to teachers and perhaps to parents. We find a way by which teachers can actually look at them. But I'm going to read out a little bit that might interest you. This is Krishnamurti in 1973 in January, 3rd January, when talk of the school was going on, before the school actually began. It began on July 6th, today 50 years ago. This was 6 months earlier. So he begins this note saying a new school is being started in Madras, and we have talked over together with Padmaji and Premaji, who came from Madras. The letter begins that way. It moves on to the role of KFI and what's the relationship between this new school and the Krishnamurti Foundation India. It looks at how a committee must be formed to look after the school, which today is its executive committee. It looks at how the committee, the principal and the teachers must work with the teachings of Krishnamurti and work seriously with this. And he speaks a lot about teachers when he says we must make sure that teachers are comfortable and well looked after in our schools. Then he speaks about the students. He says, when the student, this I quote, when the student comes to the school, he must be completely at home, completely secure, and should have the feeling of freedom. Not to do what he likes, but a sense, an atmosphere in which freedom, security, and feeling that he's being totally looked after, both physically, psychologically, and intellectually. After all, this will be his home, where the principal, the teachers, and the committee are totally concerned with the student. The concern is not superficial window dressing, but rather concerned with his environment, with his food, with his clothes, with the intellectual and moral movement of his life. He also said about the environment, there must be a sense of beauty, space, and a feeling of intimacy. And a feeling of intimacy with nature. And then he goes on to say at the end, the school should not be a copy of Rajghat or Rishi Valley or Brockwood, the three schools that were there before our school. The school should not be a copy of Rajghat or Rishi Valley or Brockwood or any other future school that may be found. Each school, like the one in Bangalore, discussions for the Bangalore school are beginning at this time, or in Madras, or in other future places, must flower on its own, like any flower that is unlike another flower. It is really in association with the feeling of doing things together, and really out of this comes independence. Not independence first and then work together. I hope the school will be a great success and flourish. Then he in July, one more letter. In July 2nd of 1973, a letter is written to Krishnamurti by Prema Srinivasan and Karma Santanam, saying they are happy to be in a position to inform you of the start of the school, Krishnamurti Foundation, India. It's going to be started on 6th July 1973 at Postgard. The building is completed and the classrooms, kitchens and the bathrooms are fully furnished and ready for work. And the letter goes on to talk about how many teachers there are, 2, and how many students there are on the opening day, 7. And then it goes on to the program, to the timetable of each day, some of which will interest you. It begins with assembly, moves to 2 or 3 periods of class, then a juice break, juice and biscuits would be given, and the fruits would be fresh orange juice or fruit of the season, banana, papaya. Then the 3rd and the 4th period, then lunch, and lunch would be soup, chapati, dal, 2 vegetable dishes, a cup of curd, rice and papad. Some of you may remember. Then after that it's sleep time, and then I rather like this where it says washing faces time. and then after that, music, dance and activities. The program itself, on July 6th, a lamp was lit. There was a short welcome by retired High Court Judge of Madras, Sri N. Ananthanarayanan, and there was a tape recording played of Krishnaji's speech. Now, a special thanks to Vasant Vihar for having brought this newsletter out in our 25th year, 1998. And why special thanks? Because this is the only published document we have of very early memories. So I'm going to read a little from there. Now Padma ji, who I showed you, the one in the blue sari, now she says, I attended J. Krishnamurti's talk. She talks about how she began the idea of the school. I attended J. Krishnamurti's talk at Vasant Vihar in 1969 for the first time. I felt hesitant to go alone, and so I went in the company of a friend who had listened to him quite often. A large number of people had gathered there and were waiting for Krishnaji's arrival. Suddenly, everything fell silent. He looked around, Suddenly everything fell silent as Krishnaji walked in and sat on the desk. He looked around and slowly at his audience and began. He invited the audience to take the journey of life together with him, to understand the facts of life, reality and truth. The passion with which he spoke emphasized the urgency of the need for a radical change in the human mind, a new mind that can relate to people and things without contradiction. His utmost concern was to free man from sin. The audience listened spellbound till the end. Thereafter, I began to look forward eagerly to Krishnaji's visits to Madras and the Rishi Valley School. Then, when Krishnaji later came to Madras, the members of the Krishnamurti Center and Associate Committee of the KFI met him and expressed their wish to start the school. Krishnaji was happy to hear this. Mrs. Prema Srinivasan and I assured him that we would initiate the school and take the responsibility of running it. Then, we asked him what name the school should have. Krishnamurti said, why not simply call it the school, since that is what you're going to do. You are not going to mold the child should feel at ease, feeling secure and free. The child would want to do what he loves to and pay attention to all things around. Last little extract from when we moved to Adyar. The discussions were on about taking the land on lease with the Theosophical Society, and Krishnaji was present but preferred to walk in the gardens. And this, Ahalyaji says, began talking to me about the school. Where will you have the classrooms? We need to draw a master plan, sir. We then walked towards the gate. I'm reading only extracts. He stopped at the ancient trees on the way, touched their trunks with great feeling. Look at the roots, the branches. He said very quietly, do take care of these. We stopped at the pond. There was just a little bit of water, but overgrown all around. He recalled that there were lilies at one time. We must attend to this pond. We walked back to where the banyan tree is. He paused on the lawn a long, long while, stood in silence, and then said, let the school grow like the sands of the sea. I looked up with a question in my eye. You know, he said, stretched his arms, head thrown back, smiling, eternal. Let the school grow like the sands of the sea. Eternal. I felt this was a blessing. And we moved back to the discussion. So these are just early years of the school, recalled. And now we have back.
Now we have a few people who through the journey of the school have been associated with the school in a very special way. So the first person we will ask to say a few words is Sharon Soki. Sharon has been a student in all the 3 campuses. She is the first student of the school. So she joined in Boys Garden and she was there in Damodar Garden and she finished her childhood. So she joined the LKG and she went on till 10. And now she's come here and she's going to tell you something about what she thought of the school and her memories of the school. Thank you, Veena.
Hi, how are you?
Good?
Alright, so how many of you remember your first day of school?
You do? Wow, so many hands up. Yeah, you can't forget that day, right? It's extremely important.
So my first day of school, I think was early 70s. I'm told it was 73, 74, but I can't be sure. I think it was 74. And I remember being dropped off at the front porch. You can see my sketch over there. So the front porch. Susan Akka I was handed over to. She was a lovely lady. I still remember her very clearly. And I just clung to her all day and I howled. And then they took me in to where the children were, and there was just a handful of children. Like I'm told there were 7 children, so maybe I was one of those 7, I can't remember. But I do remember them playing, and I was told, why don't you go join them, and which I of course refused to do. But after some time I realized they were having fun. It was more play than anything else, and I forgot. And I just joined, and then I just got integrated into school, and it was as simple as that. From then there was no looking back. There was so many days of fun and I guess learning, growth, all of that, which and all of you experienced as well. So I'll just recollect some of the nice incidents that I can recollect from my days back then, and I've got notes. So some days were just awesome. I remember the banyan tree that we spoke of. We were not allowed to swing on them later, but when we joined school and we moved to Damodar Gardens, I was part of the journey of actually moving. We actually moved with some of the furniture truck as well, so that we would feel more integrated. Shakku, I don't know if you were a part of it, where we took a truck ride with some of the furniture. So we would swing from the banyan tree roots and we would have competitions of who can swing the farthest and jump. So there's all kinds of musty happening those days, and then of course later they got more sensitive to the trees roots, it was out of bounds for us, but those were fun days. And then of course, I remember in the earlier days in Boys Garden, in the monsoons, we would capture little frogs and we would put them in bottles and we would say that we want to grow them. So these kind of things I remember. And then I also remember Betty Akka. How many of you remember Betty Akka? Do you remember Betty Akka? Oh, she was our favorite Akka. She was part Bengali, part Christian, I guess. But she just had the most amazing grace about her. And I think elegance and grace was something that she was one of the role models, earlier role models for me for that. There was also Joan Akka, who you'll remember as the piano teacher, and so I think it was this very piano Akka. Is this every success and lots of love to each one of you from me. I would stop with that, and I would say try and pay it forward in whatever way you can. For me, I think I have brought up a child who's very kind and who's humane, and for me that's a success as well. So I also work in the IT industry. I've done a bunch of stuff before the IT, and this is where I am. I'm also a spiritual healer. I work with people's energies to help them, and that is my story. Would you have any questions for me of the early days or anything you guys want to know? Yeah? Is that Theo? Okay, that is Theo. Sure. So, okay, if you have questions, you can meet me later. There are other people waiting to meet you and talk to you as well, okay? Alright. Yeah, I'll be here. Thank you. The piano? No. Alright. So we had a piano, and Joan Akka would come in the afternoons after lunch, and obviously nap time. You heard about nap time? That was a thing, guys. We actually had nap time. We each had a little cot and we could sleep, and we would wake up, freshen up, and then do the singing around in the circle. And Joan Akka taught us some great songs. And you remember Hey Digger, Ho Digger? King Gang, Guli Guli Watcha, King Gang Go. Anybody knows these songs? You do? Okay, they are from back then. And then once I saw a grumpus, oh dear me. Remember? Oh, it was a fearful sight to see. No? Oh wow, okay. Somewhere it got lost maybe. Yeah, so we had great fun. There was a lot of learning. We had Rom Whittaker visit us once with snakes, and we were taught about reptiles, and we were allowed to touch them. And then I went back home saying, of course, I want a snake as a pet, which I was told no. So we had some great experiences growing up. I think no other school would give you those kind of experiences and growth, which the KFI gave me, and I'm really privileged to have been a part of it. There was a time I remember when Kalyani Akka taught us math and fractions, and you know how she taught us this? We went to KFI, Srimati Akka, you might remember, integer halwa panindo or not, you remember? Coconut halwa, unga kitchen la vandu we just took over one day in KFI, Poise Garden. We made integer halwa, which was basically coconut halwa, but that's how she taught us integers at that time. So I remember that. I also remember how we insisted on having class on the roof once in Damodar Gardens. And after a lot of protocol and checking and security, we were allowed. We were told, how are you going to take the chairs up? So we said, we won't take chairs, we'll take our mats and go up. So for every question that the Akkas would say, we would have an answer. Then we said, okay, then I guess we could have one class up there. It would be a class on maybe life discussion or something, which was okay with an outdoor setting. So they were flexible, and they went with the flow, and we enjoyed whatever came our way. And every opportunity that we got, I think we grabbed it. I do have examples of that. I remember how, for example, when the opportunity of playing Eliza and Pygmalion came up, and I never played a real, lead role in a play, and would I be able to handle it? I was told, read with the rest of the children, and if you get selected, go for it. That was huge, because that was a very big responsibility. I literally, did play the lead in the role, in the play. In Teachers' Day, I remember, we would take over the classes for the teachers. We would teach the younger children. Beenaka's class was the favorite, by the way. We would all fight to teach Beenaka's class because we all had a rapport with Beena by then, and we would call her Beena. The older ones would call her Beena because she was just a little older than us, we thought. Now she tells me she was 21 or 22, but we would drag her into the field. She would play throw ball with us. She was one of us. She was not really the Akkas because she didn't teach us. She taught the little ones, and we felt we were 10th graders, older. So she's one of us. So I don't think any other school would let you integrate in that manner with your teachers, and that was awesome. Um, there were also some very tough days in school. I remember when, for example, I was being bullied by a boy and I refused to go to school. And I think my dad came and spoke to the teachers as to why I was not going, and then they had a word with the child's parent, and then I decided, okay, it's safe now for me to come back to school. So they did give me the time out. They did listen to me. There was also a time when ICSE was being integrated. We were being integrated, into ICSE, and then there was an A stream and a B stream, and some of us who did have some learning difficulties, we were put in the B stream. And I said, why am I part of the B stream? What's wrong with me? Am I dumber than the others because I take time to learn? What is it? What could it be? And then later I figured that
respected children, teachers and staff. This school started on 1973, July 6. It was in Boys Garden. In the first year, only 5 to 6 students were there. 2 teachers, one is Amukta Apparao, another is Aradi Akka. Padma Aunty and Prema Aunty appointed me for work. After 3 years, Chinnaka came as our headmistress. She is very lovable lady, very sweet to children and staff. 7 years we were in Boys Garden. 1980 we moved our school to Adayar Damodar Garden. That day is very special for us. We inaugurated the ceremony with M.S. Subbalakshmi with music. Padma Aunty and myself put column in the kitchen area. We boiled milk and served everybody. 37 years we were in Adayar. That campus is very huge, banyan tree and lots of trees and flowers. It is a very nice place. We will enjoy ourselves down there. After that, we changed our school to Tharangur, where we are staying now. When we are changing the school, some parents help us to pack things, lot of things, because we were a big school. 2018, we changed from Adayar to Adayar. Some memorable moments also there. To remember one girl, her name is Shakuntala. She is very cute and chubby, but she did not know to eat food. I would take rice in a bowl, mash it, put curd mix well, then put the girl in my lap, then I would feed her. After some months, she learned to eat well. That is a memorable thing. One other boy, his name is Sridhar. When he got angry, he will climb the tree and sit top of it. Then Ammu Akka will talk nicely. After half an hour, he will come down from the tree. Last 50 years, I am enjoying making lime juice in school. Akka, how does the lime juice taste like 20 years before? Children always ask me. Padma Aunty treated me as her daughter. I like me school, teachers and children and staffs very much. The school has treated me very well. That is one of the reasons to work in the school for so long. I think the school is a big paradise for me. Thanking you, everyone.
It gives me immense pleasure to be here on this special day. My hearty congratulations to the management, staff, students past and present, and well-wishers on this occasion of the 50th year, and wish you all the best and success. It's an occasion to recall the marvelous ways in which the school has grown. Each year of the life of school brings in sweet memories. Adya अस्मिन् विद्यालयस्य सुवर्णः क्षणः आगतः अस्य विद्यालयस्य पोषणं कृत्वा उत्थापितवन्तः सर्वेषां दृष्टिः परिश्रमं च स्मर्तुं समयः अस्ति अधुना आनन्दस्य समयः अस्ति हस्तौ उपरि कृत्वा सर्वान् अनुग्रहसमयान् गणयामः यत् वयं नूतनानाम् आह्वानानां सम्मुखे भवितुं स्वं सज्जीकर्तुं शक्नुमः. It's time to recall the vision and hard work of all who have nurtured the school and raised it up. It's a time to rejoice, a time to lift our hands up and count all our graces, a time to brace ourselves for new challenges to face. When I entered the school this morning, I was much more happier than the day I stepped into the school as a teacher nearly 43 years ago. It took me back to old memories, to the campus in Adyar. When one enters the main gate, trees on both sides, a pond with clean water. While passing this, the Maravani trees welcoming us, then the rain tree, the banyan tree, happy sounds of students on the playground. The new campus looks the same, only change in the location. Active students, the bond between teachers and students, and environment conducive to learning, happy faces of students. The school has grown with all these in the past 50 years. At this moment, a few lines came up. திறமையான மாணவர்கள் கவனி வரும் தோட்டம் பிள்ளைகளாய் வகுப்பறையில் களிப்புடனே கற்பர் கேட்டாலே செவியினிக்கும் எப்பால் புகழ் மணக்கும் ஐயமில்லை அப்பள்ளி தீபல்லி KFI. I am indeed fortunate to have been a part of this all. I had also grown along with the growth of the school. I would like to recall some happy memories. I vividly remember some years back in the Adyar campus, while delivering some vessels to the kitchen, the van driver got down and told me, Amma, சென்னையில இப்படி ஒரு ஊட்டியை நான் பார்த்ததே இல்லம்மா, ஒரு தோட்டத்துக்குள்ள ஸ்கூல் இருக்க மாதிரி இருக்கு, ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. That's how the campus was. In 1982, the entire school, right from KG to class 10, put up a play on Buddha. There were dance, dialogues in the play in Tamil, Sanskrit, English and in Hindi. It was under the banyan tree. Krishnaji watched the entire play. Before starting the play, there was absolute silence. And then we chanted, Agbir me Vajishrataha. Krishnaji also chanted with us. And he sat straight nearly for 1.5 hours and watched the entire play. It was quite amazing to watch him, and I learned how to sit straight for a long time. One year, the entire school, including staff and students, put up a play on Bharatiya in Tamil. It was wonderful to watch everyone participating. As a Sanskrit teacher, I had the privilege of putting up some plays in Sanskrit, like Yakshaprashnam, Shakuntalam, Karnabharam, and some more plays. I enjoyed putting up these plays. As a teacher, I learned from making mistakes, analyzing why they were made, and taking corrective action to avoid them. One was exposed to learn new skills, motivated to view one's daily activities as an opportunity for growth, reflecting upon each situation and learning from them. When the school entered its 25th year, I was hoping to be a part of its 50th. Now I am hoping and looking forward to participate in the 75th year. As Adi Shankara said, Kala Kridati Gacchati Ayu, Sadapina Munchati Asha Pashava. time and life ebb, but the surging of desire always holds a sway and never leaves. Once again, my best wishes to the school management and students in all your future endeavors. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu, Sarvesham shantir bhavatu, Sarvesham puranam bhavatu, Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My first knowledge that the school KFI, it was not, I didn't even know it was the school KFI, and the school was going to come up, was that my mother told me that she, along with my aunt, Prema Srinivasan, had gone to see Krishnaji and made him aware that they wanted to start a school. And he kept quiet for some time. I think Jayashekhar has already told you. He kept quiet for some time and he said, "What do you mean? You know what it means to start a school? You can't just start the school and disappear. It's a serious business." And Jayashekhar has given all the questions he posed, and I think they understood that it was a significant, they knew it was a significant thing, but I think Krishnaji wanted to impress upon them that they can't start something and move on. It's something which is very serious and they have to pay attention to it. So, that's the first I heard of the school. I have not been associated with the school directly until about 1978, when my elder son Harshal joined the lower KG, and my younger son Sriram also joined it. So I was a parent of the two children from 1978 till about 1994-95. In the meanwhile, towards the end of the 80s, in the early 90s, I became a member of the executive committee, and I'm still there, guiding them wherever I think I'm competent to guide them. I think one thing that has struck me about the school, apart from the fact that I understand what the school has done for my two sons, one thing that has struck me about the school is the entire atmosphere between the teachers and the students and the administration. Everybody is absolutely different to my experience and to the experience of others in other schools. I think the closeness, Krishnaji, I remember going to Krishnaji's talks in the late early 70s, 1971, 1972, 1973. Sometimes I was puzzled listening to him because I thought he was talking in semantics and you could never get to the bottom of what he was trying to do. So I really didn't caught it on. But I went to Vasant Vihar one day and I understood that Krishnaji, when he can talk, he is also a very well-grounded person. I'll give you one humorous instance. In one of the talks which I just attended, and he used to have a talk in the corridors in Vasant Vihar, and about 100 people used to sit on the floor and listen to him. So while he was talking, one gentleman in the audience raised up his hand. And he said, "Sir, women go through a very tough time. They have to give birth to children. And the pregnancy problem is very, very much a problem." Krishnaji looked at him and said, "Sir, have you given birth to a child?" He said, "No. Don't talk about things you don't know about. Don't talk about things you don't know." That shows how practical he was. He was not willing to listen to people talking about things which they don't know about. So hence the questions which Jayashree mentioned about how many teachers, what food are you going to give, what diet are you going to give. You know, he goes from his level of talking of how you live your life to very fundamental things, And I think that struck me. That is when I really understood that he's got different dimensions, and he knew that what he was talking about very well. A little bit about one particular incident in the history of the school which hit me very much was in 2013. I think the school was faced with a crisis because TS had decided not to renew a lease and wanted us to vacate Damodar Gardens. And we felt that all these parents and all these children should know about it. And a big gathering was announced. We met in a big assembly hall. I think about 250 people would have been in the hall. And Mr. Rao and Mr. Kandaswamy, the secretary, they explained the background and said that we don't own land. The land has been leased. We had a 15-year lease extended for another 15 years, 30 years. And Besant's Theosophical Society wants us to vacate the land. We do not have the funds to raise and also build a school and start. That is the sum and substance of what we said. And the audience said, the parents stood up and said, we will not allow the school to close down. We will not allow it. Even if it is a single-story building, 3 floors where you run the school, it has to continue. And they said, how much money is required? Please let us know. We will find out how we can raise the money. And I think that is the sum and substance. This was said by many, many parents who were in the hall. And this is the sum and substance of what they said. And I think we were all dumbstruck. I would say I was dumbstruck. I don't know about the others. But so we kept quiet, went away, thought about it, and decided that we will find a way, we will raise funds with the support of the alumni, with the support of the parents of alumni, and how to raise the funds. And I think then began a journey of probably about 4 to 5 years. This actually happened before the lease expired, once we got notice from TS. So from 2011 or 12 to 2007, 2016, 17, it was a journey and to find land and to locate a place. And without compromising too much on the concepts we had, Damodar Gardens was 13 acres. And as Kaveri Akka said, it was in the middle of a big garden. And the new buildings added to the old building that was there. So I think I would say Jayashree Akka played a very prominent role along with Sampath Anna, an invaluable person to find out how to locate the land. I think they they surveyed about 64 pieces of land, 64 or 65 places where the school could be located. Decided it has to be on OMR, somewhere near OMR. And finally, I accompanied them on some of those. I probably visited about 9 or 10 sites, whereas they visited about 64 sites. And so with that effort which was done, and then getting the land, raising the funds, the parents contributed, the different exhibitions, other plays, other things were done, lots of way of raising funds, paintings of the children were shown, played, displayed, and also corporate donations came in. So really we had to find a sum of about 20 crores. 20 crores. And then 20 crores for the land and also for the construction of the building. And I would say that gave me an idea of the intent, the whole philosophy of the school as I expressed there. The integrity between the students, the teachers, that they will never say die. As Kaveri Akka said, let the school continue forever. This gives me the confidence that the students, the parents, the alumni will make sure that this school will continue to flourish and manage. For example, mixed age. That's an experiment which I heard for the first time in the school. Mixed age classes. I think you've done it for the last 20 years, Jayashree Akka? About 20 years. It was not there when my two sons were studying here, but subsequently from class 1 to class 5 or class 6, they had the mixed age group, and it seems that it has worked very well, and it is not detracted from the learning of the older children, but helped a bonding between the children of different classes. So they are willing to try new things and making things intimacy between the teachers and the children. Teachers have a tough job because discipline here does not come in the usual way. I think all of you who are studying in the school know very well. The teacher has to keep the class interesting and make the journey of the education interesting. So there are a lot of things I can talk about. Executive committee is very dry matter. We talk about salaries, we talk about funds, we talk about fees. Those are routine, it has to happen. But the spirit of the school is in the classrooms, in the campus, and the teachers. I still remember, a few teachers very strongly. Kaveri Akka is one. Vasanti Akka, Tamil teacher, was one other person. Krishna Nana, who used to teach accountancy and commerce, and my elder son used to take it. He used to say, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So he had his own theme. And Anantana, who was a fantastic teacher in physics and mathematics, and lots of teachers used to come for the parent meetings, the children, and though I'm not a student of the school, only a parent of the school, I am attached to the school because I understand the philosophy and I wish them very well in the years to come. Thank you.